So hello and welcome to today's presentation. I'm here to speak to you about how we can help you manage your Solidworks data with a full-featured PDM, or product data management tool, which can also serve as your entry point into full product lifecycle management, or what's called PLM. I'll start by talking about how Teamcenter Rapid Start can address these three issues: wasted engineering time, what it is costing your company, and about an easy way to resolve this issue. Let's begin with number one. With Teamcenter Rapid Start implementations, we typically see an increase in efficiency by over 20% with our customers. This comes from reclaiming non-value added time. By non-value added time, I mean things like searching for data, recreation of data that you thought existed or does exist, but you can't locate, or re-entry of data. Outsell, a company that consults on data information and analytics, recently discovered that engineers spend 13% more time than in 2002 just searching for information. As products become more complex, more information exists, and although that information is also becoming more accessible, it is still becoming overwhelming. This is not getting better as we move forward, as another independent study shows that there has been an increase in time just spent searching for data. Now, this may seem counterintuitive because we have better access to data, we have faster computers, but as people create more data and we have access to more data, we have to search through more of that data just to find it. Trying to find what we need, and this is actually consuming more of the user's time. Now, on top of that, change happens. Change happens. The customer changes the requirements, or there's analysis that comes back and you have to change your models, but there's always change that's occurring. Now, all of that data is interconnected, so when the change occurs, it's not good enough just to find that single piece of data that has to be changed. We really need to understand what the change will affect upstream and downstream. Otherwise, we may not see the whole picture, and making a small change can have a huge impact. That impact can cost a lot of money, and if the proper changes aren't handled efficiently or in the way that they need to be handled, it can hurt you on the bottom end. So we need to have this interconnected structure that allows us to be able to find all the affected documents, and Teamcenter manages that environment very, very well. So by using the powerful search capabilities of Teamcenter, I can easily and quickly find my data, the exact data that I need, and I can also understand and see all the relational links of one piece of data to the other pieces. So this way I understand and have visibility to the entire breadth of data that defines my product or item. In this next section, I'll discuss how you'll be able to stay in your CAD or Office tools in which you're comfortable working with while still getting the benefits of Teamcenter Rapid Start. By doing this, this will result in an increase in productivity in the company by giving users direct access to the power and benefits of managed data via Teamcenter without having to switch between various software platforms. So Teamcenter Rapid Start uses the standard Teamcenter integration for Solidworks, which allows you to reduce product development cycle times and cost by enhancing your Solidworks environment to deliver a single source of product data for your design and manufacturing teams. The integration provides access to a full range of PDM capabilities to help ensure that the right people get the right information at the right time. Now, using Teamcenter Active Workspace, users can easily access PLM functions such as search and reuse, structured workflows, change management processes, design relationships, and more from within the native CAD authoring environment. To help maximize designer productivity, the integration enables the designers to create, save, search, and edit SolidWorks objects, including drawings, parts, and assemblies. Users can selectively update in-session models to later versions or revisions without reloading their entire assembly. During the design process, the Rapid Start environment tracks and manages the creation of new product revisions or versions. It updates that work in progress as well. So as a result, designers spend less time finding the correct versions of SolidWorks data. To further improve designer productivity, the Rapid Start integration supports the bidirectional transfer and synchronization of model properties that are helpful when establishing the product structure. This integration also automatically generates and saves neutral file outputs, including PNG, PDF, JT, and others. Now, if you're not familiar with JT files are an ISO standard CAD neutral that is widely used for 3D visualization. It also has other uses in downstream manufacturing and so on. So if you have files in different, several different CAD formats, you can essentially build an assembly inside of Teamcenter using the JT data from those various CAD system files. That assembly can be viewed, interrogated, or marked up by anyone with the right credentials and permissions within Teamcenter. Now, later in my presentation here, I'll show you a video that shows you some of that functionality. In addition, Office tools are also tightly integrated with Teamcenter. So there is a Teamcenter toolbar right inside of all the Office tools that is extremely intuitive with commands like open, save, revise, and other operations. So this is the great thing about the integration is you can just open Word or Excel as you would normally do, and then you can save to the secure Teamcenter encrypted volume instead of saving to a network or a local drive where you also run the risk of losing that data the next time you go to look for it. So this immediately puts your documentation into the managed environment where you can take advantage of workflows or other benefits that Teamcenter provides. Teamcenter is tightly integrated into all the major mechanical and electrical CAD players, along with various ERP systems and other systems. Users can be comfortable in the system in which they are accustomed to working and still get the benefits of Teamcenter. So this is just a quote here from the PLM manager at Briggs & Stratton. And he basically is saying that Teamcenter is an advanced data management tool, much more advanced than anything that the SolidWorks users would be used to in that SolidWorks world. But at the same time, it's very easy to use because it's embedded right within SolidWorks, so they can get to it very easily. And they basically stay in the tool they're familiar with. They do the SolidWorks, the CAD tool, design changes and so on that they know how to do, but they get the benefit of having Teamcenter on the back end. In this last section, I'll talk about getting up and running in as short as 7 days and getting your return on your investment quickly. With Teamcenter Rapid Start, we offer a pre-configured deployment of Teamcenter. Now, by doing this, we can deploy much quicker than a standard deployment, which allows you to really begin using Teamcenter quicker and reap the benefits of that, right? So this gets you that return on investment much sooner than if you were doing a standard full-blown deployment. So here's just an example of what I mean by fast payback and getting that return on investment. So we're looking at basically a Teamcenter Rapid install or deployment in a 10-user example. So in this example, the return on investment for existing SolidWorks customers, that will be adding Teamcenter it really adds up very quickly. So the payback is based on a McKinsey report that states that people basically spend about 2 hours on average a day just looking for data. You know, that may be going out to a network drive or a local drive, but trying to find that file. I think we've all experienced, I know the file exists, but where did I put it? And then at the same time, we typically see a lot of, within engineering groups, they're going to have multiple copies of that file, maybe on the server, maybe on workstations, and then it becomes an issue, which of these is really the correct version of file that I want to work with. So using Teamcenter, they can find that data very quickly and shorten that search time. But if you look at that, 2 hours a day per user, I've got 10 users over a year, that adds up to nearly $50,000. So in this particular case, or in most Teamcenter, you know, quick deployment cases, we're looking at an implementation that is a smaller business install of Teamcenter Rapid Start. We give you lots of different options for that implementation. There are on-site and cloud-based options that change this formula, obviously, but rebalance, you know, you can rebalance that front-end cost and very quickly see what that is. So another quote from the engineering manager at PowerX: Teamcenter Rapid Start is absolutely the right size for a small company. With one engineer and one IT guy, they were able to support their Teamcenter Rapid Start implementation and expansions. So think about that. It doesn't require a huge IT staff. This is designed to be a low maintenance product, basically. So here I'm going to get into the demonstration. The demonstration moves very quickly. I will address items in that demonstration, but it'd be very difficult for you to see everything that I'm talking about. It does move very quickly. So Teamcenter can be installed just using the add-in tools. Once Teamcenter gets installed, you'll be presented with an icon on the right toolbar that gives you access to what's the active model in session. You can also look at what is in the cache and say, show me only the items in cache that are displayed on my screen. You can also see what's checked out to you as a user. Now from there, I can also get access into the active workspace interface, which is embedded inside of the Solidworks product. So I have full access to Teamcenter. I also got to get a pull-down menu, which gives me access to Teamcenter functionality as well. Now in this example, what happens, Teamcenter can drive tasks to the user. So in this case, the user has been assigned a task. He can immediately see what that task is inside the Solidworks product, open the affected assembly or parts or whatever needs to change, and then begin working, making the changes that have been requested of him off that task. Now, using the Teamcenter interface, he can also navigate the part. So he can say, show me where this part is used at, or this assembly is used at. And what you see here is a graphical display. You also see the bill of material presented there on the left side. And in this case, we're just navigating up the tree. Where's that assembly used? Where's the next assembly used? Eventually, we get to the top level. Now from here, the designer wants to focus on that top level assembly and make his changes from there. Now in the background, Teamcenter is managing this the entire time. It's keeping an audit trail. It's going to understand which parts he affects or changes. So he focuses in on the subassembly using the tools that are presented. He can either save it as a new part, create a copy of it, do a revision of it, whatever he needs to do. In this case, it looks like he's going to create a copy of that subassembly and then do a replacement of the original part inside that particular environment. So now that he's focusing on this subassembly, he can begin making his design changes. So again, using the tools that Teamcenter provides, he can do quick searches for additional parts or data. In this case, he's looking for a different fastener to replace the fastener that exists in that particular assembly. So he's actually querying the Teamcenter database. He's presented with different options. So you can see here that the part that he's replacing out is a much shorter part. Now, anytime he goes in there and pulls parts out, checks something, he has the option to check those parts out to keep somebody else from coming in from behind him and changing the same things that he's trying to change. So it's controlling that entire environment. So now he's going back to that full level assembly, and he's seeing that the change that he made, but he may also want to look at changes that other individuals have made. So you can work collaboratively in that environment based on rules that are in place. And here he can see that there are other models that Teamcenter has detected as being out of date. Now keep in mind, he's still in SolidWorks, but he's working very, interactively with Teamcenter. So Teamcenter is going to identify all the parts that have changed while he's been working on in his session, and he can take those and say, you know what, let's update my session to reflect changes that occurred. So what you're going to notice is the table got shortened. Somebody shortened the table while he was working on it, but it didn't necessarily affect his parts. You also have drawings that can benefit from the Teamcenter environment. So here we're just creating a drawing as you normally would, but it's also interacting with Teamcenter, grabbing attributes, metadata, bill of material information. So when he goes to balloon this assembly, what's going to happen here are the two systems are going to sync the item IDs. So now, even if he places a bill of material on the drawing, those item IDs will match the same item IDs that exist in Teamcenter. So going back in, now he's, maybe he's done all the changes he needs to do. He's made whatever revisions are necessary. He can save everything back into Teamcenter. It will automatically check things in. If revisions need to occur, he will be notified of that, and those revisions will be taken care of automatically as well. Now, once everything gets checked back into Teamcenter, somebody else can go look at that data. So what you see here is a Teamcenter standalone interface where somebody's bringing up the same parts and assemblies. You can see they use the powerful search tool to locate the parts very quickly. From there, we can look at the various attachments. So we can see there's SolidWorks data behind there, and there's a PDF. Now, Teamcenter generated that PDF automatically for our user, so he didn't have to go out and do that as a secondary step. The visualization is built in. This is available for all users, whether they're CAD users or not. So the great thing about the visualization is that I could have somebody on the factory floor, somebody in purchasing that can still get visibility to those models. They can interrogate the models, take measurements, and so on without having to tie up a CAD seat. All right, so I touched on increasing efficiency by over 20%. We typically see that with Teamcenter Rapid Start installments, and many times it's more than that. It is very intuitive user interface. You get productivity across the organization because it's tightly integrated with your CAD products, in this case SolidWorks, or even your Office applications. And because Siemens and our partners have done deployments hundreds, thousands of times, we can get it installed quickly, we can get you up and running quickly, and we can do it, efficiently for you so you can get that return on investment. And so in review, I walked you through PDM. It's a quick presentation, a pre-configured PDM solution, but keep in mind, it supports mechanical CAD and electrical CAD tools. It establishes a single source of product-related data, and it provides a growth path from PDM to PLM if you ever need to move that direction. It deploys quickly and cost-effectively for your fast return on investment. And again, it requires a minimal IT staff to support it. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I will hand the presentation over to Brian.
My name is Brian DeShazer. I'm going to go over the integrations between PADS and Teamcenter. We'll see here, I'll go ahead and start this. We build a Teamcenter menu into PADS so that all the functions that a designer needs to do, like search for it, open designs, save designs, check them in, check them out, revise them, initiate workflows, and and receive workflows, do BOM compares, those kind of standard things that you do from on a daily basis for a designer are available through the Teamcenter menu that's embedded in PADS. So either PADS Designer, or if you're using PADS Logic, it's the same menu, and also the PADS layout for the PCB side. So to start with, we'll go ahead and do a save as to save this design into Teamcenter. And you can see we pull 3 part numbers for the design: the assembly, the schematic, and the bare board, so that we can have the bare board represented in the bill of material. You see the integration has already pulled the next 3 available part numbers from our Teamcenter system. So whatever numbering scheme you have in Teamcenter for this, and we'll go ahead and roll this forward a little bit, as well as initial names. And we can change the names here to protect the innocent to what we want. And then we can decide whether we want to check the design in or not. Are we done working on it? Do we want visualization files? We'll talk about that in a little bit. And do we want the bill of material? Now at this point, you can finish, and it will save the design to Teamcenter. It will create these 3 part numbers and upload the project to Teamcenter, create the bill of material. But there is a common configuration that most every customer that I have does, and it's called derived items and derived files. So I have a sample configuration in my system, and I'll go ahead and show that. The first extra screen that we'll get to is derived items. So like I said, we create 3 part numbers in Teamcenter for the design. Some companies need additional part numbers for their design. So we give you a capability of defining extra part numbers for the design. So I have a sample here with like an extra item to create the drawing itself. So it could be a separately revisable drawing, and an item to contain my manufacturing stuff, the stuff that I'm sharing with my board supplier, let's say. But this is a completely configurable list. It's different for every customer, and if you don't need extra items in your structure, then you won't see the screen. And then we can change the ID and names for those as we do. The second part of derived data is the actual derived data. So this would be things like output data, like your ODB plus files, your Gerber files, maybe a PDF of the schematic, those type of things. We can save these to their own separate data containers anywhere in the project structure that you want. And this makes it easier for downstream users to get to this data, and makes it more accessible to the rest of the company. And again, this is a completely configurable list. Yours probably looks similar since these are kind of normal type output files, but you configure it the way you want. So we'll go ahead and run this forward. We'll do the save. Through the magic of AVI, the save happens immediately. And like I said, if you're in PCB layout, you get the PADS layout, you get the same menu. And I'm just going to save the layout side here. You can see that it already has the same part number as the project from before. And I get the same options to have derived items and files on the layout side. So let's go look in Teamcenter at what we created. So I just go over to Teamcenter and do a quick search. I believe I named these starting pad something. And here we can see the project, the schematic, and the board part number as created. If I open up the project, you can see the bill of material with all the part numbers, as well as the reference designators for this design. So all the symbols that were populated in that schematic layout when we saved it are referenced in the bill of material, along with their information that Teamcenter knows about those components, as well as the logic designator from the ref des from this design. You can see I'm in a packed view for my bill of material. So in other words, the first capacitor in the list, I've got, 7, 8 of those capacitors. You can see how it lists those in there. In addition to the bill of material, let's look at the structure that got created. So I'll just go into our relations area and show the project. And as a child of the project, we'll see a separate part number for the schematic itself, as well as a part number for the bare board here down at the bottom, so that we can represent the board itself in the structure. And then since we configured derived items, you can see my extra items I created, the derived, the drawing and the manufacturing item. If we open up the schematic, we can do that directly from the Relations tab. You can see the design data set and the visualization file for the schematic. And if I open the drawing item, you see that it's got a schematic PDF. That's part of our derived data that we saved. And if I open the manufacturing, there's my ODB++, my PDF on my manufacturing drawing, and my Gerber files. These, again, are some of that output data that I saved through the save process. And if I want to look at any of them, I can say, you know, I want to look at the schematic drawing, and it'll open it up in the visualization here so that I can see it. And if I want to look at, let's say, the manufacturing drawing, I can do the same thing. And so I'll look at the manufacturing drawing and see everybody's on mute, so I can't hear them, or nobody actually laughs at my jokes anyway. But let me back that up 10 seconds here. And we're going to do an open now. So I saved this design. I showed the structure within Teamcenter that it created. What I want to do is show us a little bit more of the functionality from the pad side. So you notice I also have icons in my menu bars for Teamcenter functions. So I'm going to open a design from Teamcenter and load it into pads. So I'll click that, and you can see the dialog is the same dialog that I had when I was in the pads when I went to Teamcenter. So it's I'm using the Teamcenter Active Workspace client, and I just tell it that I want to open for modification the pads design, and it loads it into pads. And then I can submit it to a workflow, let's say, so I can do a design approval workflow. So all of these functions are available to me directly from pads. I don't have to keep hopping around between different systems. So you can keep your designer in your CAD tool. And here I'm just attaching the design as a target of this workflow. I also have the option of attaching reference items, either from Teamcenter or from my operating system if I had additional data that I wanted to attach to this workflow. And the workflow gets submitted. And after the workflow is submitted, directly from pads, I can go to my inbox and check the workflow and see that it's sitting in my design review task, and it's on Larry Marvick's desk waiting for their problem or for their review. And then the last I wanted to show is the visualization, because I talked about saving the visualization files. So I hopped back over to my Teamcenter client, to my Teamcenter web client here, and I'm going to go and look at the output from the PCB layout. So this is a visualization file that got created when I saved the PCB layout. So this is a way for me to look at the design from a Teamcenter system without needing pads. So this is a visualization. You can see I'm looking for components, I'm looking for nets for this design, so I can interrogate this design. Now let's go get the schematic layout and open it up in visualization here, and I can cross probe between the two of them. So I got the schematic and the PCB open. So if I find R2, it finds it in both sides, both schematic and layout. And of course, if you search for R2, you have to search for D2, right? We also have markup and interrogation capabilities, so I can apply some dimensions, put some text in, whatever I need to document a design review, for instance. And that's what I wanted to show to you today.
So this is Kurt Pennington. There are a couple questions that came up that I wanted to answer. We had a question that says, we use Solidworks for mechanical CAD. Will it be an issue for us to leverage the Rapid Start offering? And the answer is no, it's no issue at all. Like I had said earlier on, we support all the major CAD players. So Autodesk products, ProE products, CATIA, Solidworks, NX, Solid Edge, all the major players are supported on the mechanical CAD as well as the ECAD side. There was also another question about the return on investment or justifications are always hurdles for new efficiency tool acquisitions in my company. Do you have any return on investment models? Yes. So if you need any return on investment models or more information about that, please reach out to the partner and they can get those to you or we can get those to you. And it looks like, Brian, there may be a question on there.
Yeah, there's a few questions on the PADS integration. How do you compare between board or schematic revisions in the PCB viewer? You can open up, let's say, 2 revisions of the same, either the same PCB or the same schematic within there, and we have a comparison tool within the visualization so that it'll graphically show you what the differences are between revisions of a schematic or a PCB layout. I didn't go into that. There's probably a lot I didn't go into. I had 10 minutes to show this, but yes, you can graphically compare between revisions.
My company uses PADS for ECAD and NX for the mechanical CAD. They're asking, do I understand that Teamcenter Rapid Start will be delivered ready to go as a PDM solution for both? And the answer is yes. There's an integration, for the MCAD and the ECAD for those specific systems, depending on the CAD system you're using. But within that deployment, those can be set up, and then you're fully integrated to whatever CAD system you need to use. So the answer to that is yes.
Thank you to both Brian and Kurt for presenting, and thank you everybody for attending.